Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good weekend, and welcome back to Communist Revolutionary Simulator 6. Just a quick update before we get started. I'm packing up on Monday, and I'm moving house on Tuesday. However, despite what I said in last week's episode of Mingles with Jingles, there will actually be an episode of Mingles with Jingles on Monday, and I've been doing my best to try to pre-upload some World of Warships content in anticipation of being too busy with moving house in order to actually get any work done in the first half of next week. So, well, this is basically just me getting all of my excuses lined up in case I skip a day next week. And honestly, I think moving everything that you own from one address to another is a pretty good excuse, but, well, I know what some of you are like, so there may be a day without a video next week, but I hope not. Anyway, on with the show. So, Far Cry 6 has been a little disappointing in the last couple of episodes because it hasn't been up to its usual utterly terrible standard, and so it hasn't really been very funny. It's actually playing reasonably well. And when I say reasonably well, I mean at a base level of stupidity no worse than any other modern first-person shooter. So I'm hoping that after speaking to Talia again, things are going to improve. And of course, when I say improve, I mean get right back down to Far Cry 6's usual utterly abysmally bad standard.
Just one fucking show, Paulo!
We focus on the demo. Javier's costing up free speech can get us an American deal.
Ooh, an American record deal, a grand fucking celebration! What's going on? We got a show for the first time since we ran from Esperanza, and Paulo wants to kill it. Why?
Marquesa will kill us.
But I painted the logo everywhere.
No, I painted them. And stole a fucking zebra and killed for that local priest. No bullshit, you're doing the show. What priest?
One song. Then we're out.
Ah, mi amor, I could fuck your brains out, but we gotta get ready. Pack your shit, baby!
Danny, I love that you're just speaking your truth like that.
What is it, Picho?
We're gonna need to clear Marquesa's propaganda house of soldiers if we're gonna set up our gear. And by we, I mean you. Or you with a little bit of me. Both of us.
I get it. Let's go speak some truth.
You see, that's what I like about Bicho. I mean, he knows he's useless. He doesn't try to pretend that he's any better than what he is, and I really do kind of respect him for that. I mean, it's clear the game developers don't actually respect him as a character, because despite the fact that he is by far the least hateful of the three members of Maximus Matanzas, they've made him short, fat, bumbling incompetent, and given him a name that they know is going to mean that the vast majority of the audience who are going to be English-speaking are just going to call him bitch. I like Bicho. I mean, physically he's a coward, but he knows that. Morally, despite his weaknesses, he is still sticking around, and he is still trying to do the right thing. So I do kind of respect that. I'm starting to develop a grudging amount of respect for Paulo as well, because while his interests and mine definitely don't coincide, but he hasn't really been that much of a dick to me, and he's never lied to me. He's always been 100% straight about what his objectives are. Get off this island. Talia, on the other hand, Talia can fuck off and die.
Good dog.
No, not you, Teresa. You're a good boy. Because Talia has just been a hateful arsehole since the moment I met her. Unlike Bicho, she's been no use to anybody whatsoever, and in fact just claims credit for everything that I do. But even worse, and these are the two things that I hate the most about Talia. One, she keeps making everything about her, and we'll get on to that later. And two, she keeps flip-flopping her position around important issues here on Yara. From one day to the next, you never know which way she's going to swing. And then she just carries on in complete denial of the fact that yesterday's opinion was different to today's opinion. She just refuses to acknowledge that she's ever been wrong about anything, even when her opinion flips 180 degrees about a subject. And you're going to see a perfect example of this just later on in today's video. Remember, when we first met Talia, and all the way up until now, she's been fuck Libertad and fuck Clara Garcia, yeah? Remember that, because it's going to come in important later. And I'll be going into greater detail on her other most hateful character trait right after I've checked in with Bicho.
Picho, I'm at Maria's villa. You here?
Yeah, soon way. But, are there soldados?
Of course. It's Marquesa's fucking house.
Right. I'm gonna be a little late.
Relájate. There won't be a single soldier when you get here.
So, I mentioned how Talia has this just intensely annoying character trait of trying to make every little thing about her. For example, and this one was great, sadly I wasn't actually recording the gameplay at the time, but earlier on, she was going off on another one of her rants, as always with this character, completely out of touch with reality, and hilariously out of touch with reality on this particular occasion. You've probably noticed from watching Far Cry 6, or playing it yourself, that Yara is a predominantly Hispanic Caribbean island. There are black people here, but they're definitely in the minority. In Talia's mind, as one of the few prominent black characters in the game, the entire culture of the island has been set up specifically to oppress her because she's black. She even went so far as to state, and honestly I so wish I'd been recording this, that Castillo's entire Yaran government was set up to keep her and the other, 3 or 4 black Yarans down and serve the interests of the elite white Yarans. Exactly which elite white Yarans is she talking about? Because in this entire playthrough, I've only seen one white man, and that was McKay, the Canadian industrialist. And the thing about Canadians, in fact, I think you'll find one of the defining characteristics of Canadians, is that they don't come from Yara. So that begs the question, if we're going to take Talia's flight of utter fantasy at face value, exactly which elite white Yarans was she talking about? President Castillo himself? This guy? This guy? Or if we go back to 1991 and his movie debut in the criminally underrated Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, is this the elite white Yaran that she's talking about? Come on, Talia, explain to me again about how the entire economy and culture of an island that's 99% Hispanic and ruled by a black Hispanic dictator who set this all up specifically to keep himself and you down in order to serve the interests of a white elite that doesn't fucking exist. But no, Talia isn't required to explain herself, and that's the thing I hate the most about Talia, because she doesn't hold herself to the same standards of justification and explanation that she requires of everybody else. Talia just gets to say shit. And anybody who tries to challenge her or call her out on her bullshit, well, they're obviously only attacking her because they're a sexist or a racist, or both, not because she could ever actually be wrong. She plays the I'm being oppressed card every fucking time, and then to make matters worse, 2 days later she's changed her mind. She's got a completely different but equally bullshit argument, a perfect example of which we're going to see later in this episode. Remember, when we first met her, it was fuck Clara Garcia and fuck Libertad. And she never acknowledges the fact that she's just flipped her opinion 180 degrees, and fuck you if you try to point it out, you're just a sexist or a racist. I hate her so much, and the game won't let me shoot her. Say what you like about Bethesda's games, and you should say what you like about Bethesda's games, because honestly, lately they have been absolutely terrible. But at least in something like Fallout 4, and I believe it was also possible in Fallout 3, but while those games definitely did have their issues, which I'm not going to go into in great detail here because this is a Far Cry 6 video, but in both of those games it was possible, if you chose to do it, because, choice is important, or it should be, you could kill everybody and still finish the game. Now, while I've spent the last few minutes bitching about Talia, I know what some of you are probably thinking. Hang on a second here, Jingles, because it kind of sounds like you're complaining about the fact that Talia actually grows as a character, that she does actually have a character development arc. She starts off thinking one thing, but then slowly, over the course of the game's playthrough, as a result of both your and her actions, she starts to come around to another way of thinking. Now, I could see why you would think that. Oh, hello. Don't mind me. But in response to that assertion, and it's a good one, I'll just say, wait until the end of this video. Just reserve your judgment until the end of this video. and then see if you still think that's what's actually happening. Anyway, let's move this along, shall we? Still trying to find the last guard so Bicho can come out of hiding. Oh, there he is. Hello, and goodbye. Right. Yep, we're done.
Bicho, it's safe to come out now.
Orale, Danny. Meet me out front by my truck. And,
You need help?
see, with gear. That shit's heavy.
Meet him out front by his truck. Well, okay. This is kind of amusing as well, but amusing in a sort of really kind of way rather than a ha-ha kind of way. Meet him out front by his truck, yeah? Here he comes. It's a moving waypoint because the truck's moving. That's absolutely fine. Alright, so he's parking here. That's not an issue. Here he is. Alright, Bicho.
Okay, Danny.
Bicho?
Ready
Where are you?
if you are.
Bicho. I'm by your truck. You said... Whatever.
Danny, ready? I'm ready. I think. Okay, Maria's got the best gear set up here already. We just need to turn that shit on.
We?
You think Talia will turn on the antenna, lights, speakers? No way, man.
Okay.
Yeah, that
okay.
sounds about right.
I'll help.
Shit, yeah! I got a roadie! And Radio Libertad's happening. I'll be here, monitoring your progress.
Motherfucker.
Yep. We all know somebody like this. Talia won't even turn up until everything's ready for her because everything's about her. And when she does turn up, she's late.
I'm a guerrilla roadie now.
Yeah, I'm basically just running around turning things on here, which is really boring, so we're just going to skip ahead to the main event.
Damn, Marquesa's got a serious lightboard.
And when I say skip ahead to the main event, I mean the main event that was Talia's idea, but which she doesn't turn up for until hours later in the middle of the night.
Cojones, so lifelike. Where the hell are Paolo and Talia? You look like shit.
This always happens. This always happens before a show. Like,
Finally.
verdad sobre todo, 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 verdad sobre todo.
Falla, porque en la calle se dice que viene batalla. No tenemos miedo, mi gente no falla. Tú sabes que seguimos dando la talla. Hey, canalla, somos los yaranos, tú sabes que no se desmaya. Pasa la raya, y pero es un pueblo que arde metiendo la galla. Yo me traya. Quiero que todos salgamos con puños arriba. Quiero que todos apoyen esta iniciativa. Este día llegan respuestas definitivas, progresivas. Sigamos con la fuerza positiva. Es que tenemos las ganas del tamaño de un estadio. Por eso seguimos tomando...
¡Fuck Castillo! ¡Fuck Marquesa! ¡Fuck Paraíso! ¡La jodera, la muerte! We don't stop, you hear me?
Oh, please stop. Please, please, please stop. Actually, you know, to be completely fair here, I'm obviously just not into this kind of music, but that doesn't mean it's bad, just because I don't like it. I have been reliably informed that the recording artist that they hired to actually do Talia's performance is quite well respected. And as an example of this genre of music, even though, you know, I admit and acknowledge that I am probably the worst person to judge, it seems perfectly fine. And if you are a fan of this genre of music, I mean, I don't know, this might actually be really good. Like I said, I am probably the worst person in the world to sit rendering judgment. All I know is this goes on for quite some time. You basically have to defend the concert equipment and ensure that the show goes on. And there's a bunch of mounted equipment here that you don't have to use your own ammo. This grenade launcher does have a limited supply of ammunition, however. But there are various different 50 cal or 12.7mm submachine guns, definitely not submachine guns, heavy machine guns scattered around the place as well. And there are also various different ammunition boxes scattered around the place, so if you are forced to use your own ammo, particularly for the missile launcher, then this is not a situation where you're going to run out of ammunition. Resupply is always just a few steps away. The 12.7mm mounted machine gun, however, is just terrible. Although, to be fair, it's no worse than any of the other 12.7mm or 50 caliber machine guns in Far Cry 6. For some reason, a bullet of this caliber needs to hit somebody 4 or 5 times before it kills them, when, you know, in reality, one bullet of this caliber would tear somebody apart. I mean, it might not kill them, but they wouldn't be interested in doing anything other than lying in a heap on the ground, crying afterwards. And the accuracy, because of the recoil, is utterly shit. Then again, that wouldn't matter if the ammunition had the effect on target that it should, because you would only need one round on target to convince somebody to sit down and do nothing. But of course, you know, it's Far Cry 6. And because this is Far Cry 6, and I'm not making this up, if you've been watching these videos, you've seen evidence of it with your own eyes, I would be better off using a machine pistol than a 12.7mm machine gun. Although, to be fair, even the machine pistol is going to struggle to deal with a tank. So, I've just popped a couple of missile launcher rounds off. I don't have many shots left, but that's fine. There are ammunition resupply boxes around. Oh shit, ow, that hurt, that hurt. Pop my Supremo. Particularly handy under these circumstances, because it's basically impossible to die when the healing Supremo is going on. It not only keeps you in a cloud of healing magic, but also gives you a damage resistance buff. Alright, so tank dealt with. Anything else armoured turns up, I do have ammo resupply crates scattered around the concert venue. And from this point on, it's just more of the same. You just shoot the stuff that needs shooting until they stop coming. At which point, the show should be over. Should be. That was the plan. But of course, despite the fact that that was Talia's plan, she now has other ideas. Because of course she does. That's just what Talia does. More fool you if you expect her to acknowledge that. Because if you have a problem with Talia changing her mind, well, that just means you're a sexist and a racist.
We fucking go again!
Show's over.
What are you talking about, Paulo?
You made your point to Marquesa.
No tenemos miedo, miente no falla.
So you got her thinking she's hard like Libertad now.
Should I run to America like a pussy instead?
Fuck, Talia, we can have a life there.
Oh yeah, smile at the Yankees while we clean their toilets. Smile while they tell us to go back to where we came from. They don't want us, Paulo. My life is here, fighting with Libertad.
Libertad? Ha! Libertad just wants our fans. You think Clara Garcia gives a shit about you? Me, Danny?
Take it easy. Oh, so now you're against Libertad. After all the shit we've been through, the surgeries, your family...
My surgeries! My family, not yours. This isn't my war. When this is over, I'm still gonna have to fight to live here. It's like you forget that I'm trans in fucking Yara. So don't talk as if you know what it's like for me.
A real man doesn't run.
Yep, she just went there. She just told a trans man that he wasn't a real man.
They'll be fine. They'll be fine.
I don't think so, mi amigo.
So now Talia apparently is all about Libertad. Viva la Revolution. Except she isn't, of course. The only reason she's taking that position is because Paulo is not about Libertad. Never has been, isn't going to be, still isn't. And she's arguing with him. So she's just taking the opposite point of view. Because it suits her to do so, in order to win the argument. And when that doesn't work, when flipping her position on Paulo doesn't win her the argument which, by the way, is about sticking to her plan, when that doesn't win her the argument, and remember, nobody in this game, other than Paulo himself, knows more than Talia about what he has suffered as a trans man on Yara. When that doesn't win her the argument, she says he's not a real man. Now, I don't care what your position on transgender politics is. Just observe rule number 1. Don't be a dick about it. Seriously. Fuck this bitch. And yet, you know, despite it all, I think I really do have to give Ubisoft credit here. She may very well be the best written character in the game, because I don't think any of this is accidental. I think she actually has been written to be the most hateful character you're ever going to meet. And if that's the case, they've done a fantastic job. I mean, by contrast, President Castillo is a monster, but you know where you stand with him. He's consistently monstrous.
Miss Tilly, I'm afraid I only have a few minutes.
Let's get right to it. You spend a lot of time with your father.
He is a great teacher.
And your mother?
¿Qué clase de tontería es esta, María?
Es el estilo americano.
Let's talk Viviro, a cancer treatment that extends the lives of millions around the world, except in the United States. My own father is stage 4. Why do you make Americans wait?
It's very American to expect what does not belong to you.
You refuse diplomatic overtures, even promises to lift the blockade.
I am sorry about your father, but Americans will wait, just like everyone else.
Yesterday, your network, Yarovision, was hijacked by rebels. They called for the liberation of so-called outcasts from Viviro labor camps. Is Viviro produced with slave labor?
Truth or lies?
The truth, of course.
Yara did not write the playbook. Slavery was your first corporation, 1800 to 1860. Cotton was your #1 export. Grown by whom?
Just a second.
Slaves. 4 million Americans worth $3.5 billion. The #1 asset in your economy was people who look like me. What is that called?
A history lesson?
A head start. Replaced by a billion-dollar prison industry that pays its inmates pennies.
America is not alone.
Correct. Children sew our clothes. Sweatshops build our phones. And Viviro saves millions of lives. Do you think that those lives care where it comes from?
Santos Espinosa executed your father in the 1967 Communist Revolution. You were imprisoned at the age of 13, the same age as Diego. You were self-educated?
My mother was a wonderful teacher.
I understand you were forced to endure 15 years of hard labor. Pruning tobacco. I hear you still have the blade.
When Yara becomes paradise, when I give my Viviro to America, my methods, your questions, no one will care.
We're done here? For your father.
That's right, Talia. That elite white guy is the one who's personally been keeping you down your whole life. And that, kids, is it for today. Mostly because after completing that mission, the game now wants me to go and talk to Talia again. I can think of at least a billion other things that I would much rather be doing. So, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.